Hello everyone, this is Biophoenix here, and today's game is Aero on the N64, which was released in 1998 in North America, but in Japan it was released in 1997, and it was developed by Locomotive Games and published by Basel Entertainment. Now this is a racing game with flying cars, so it's very similar to Wipeout and F-Zero, and there are a couple modes like Grand Prix, Single Player, Versus, and Time Attack. Now the difference between Grand Prix and single player is that Grand Prix is pretty much like a tournament, and while single player is just one single race. So alright, not too complicated. Now one thing that makes the Grand Prix in this game very different compared to most other racing games is that you have to play the same track twice. The first time you race is that you're racing with a timer, and depending on the time that you get, it just shows that what place you're going to be in for the real race. Then the second time you race on the same track is pretty much like the real race where you're actually racing against the other players. Now I find it to be an okay concept, it's just kind of weird I find, but oh well, at least it was done okay. Now I do like that there are a lot of characters in the game, and I also really like the designs on some of them. Some of the cars actually look really fucking awesome. But the most interesting one that I've seen is probably the N64 controller. So yeah, you can use an N64 controller to race as a car. Now that's kind of funny. And now let's start off with the other stuff like the controls. And they're pretty good and responsive, but I have one complaint. Well, I think it's more like cryptic shit, but whatever. You know when you start the race and you're trying to get a head start? Like as soon as it says, ready, set, go? Now sometimes as soon as it says go, all the other cars are like going like super fast, and while I'm like moving like a freaking snail. And the reason why is that is because you need to get a good head start. But the problem is trying to figure it out. I remember when I was playing this game when I was really young, I really had no idea what the fuck I was doing wrong. In fact, sometimes I still don't know what the fuck I'm doing wrong. Now let me try to explain as best as I could. So I press A just to get the car off of the ground. Then I kind of play around with the analog, so trying to move the car up and down in that one spot. And it feels like that no matter which direction that my car is facing, all the other cars are getting a head start automatically. And that is why I can't really explain it well, because I really have no idea what the fuck I'm doing. Like, I don't know if it's something I'm doing wrong, or if it really is just cryptic shit. Like, sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. Now that is my only complaint about the controls, because last time I checked, this is a racing game, not a fucking guessing game. Now let's move on to the graphics. And I find they don't look too bad. Like, I find there's a lot of color in it, which makes it look pretty nice. But other than that, I really can't say too much about it, so really it just looks pretty nice. Now as for the music, I find the music in this game to be really awesome sounding, and in my opinion I find that the music in this game is probably like the best highlight out of it all. But I still really enjoy watching that intro video for the game though. I find it just looks really awesome and just sounds really good too. So that's all I have to say about for music, and I'd say it's pretty damn good. Now one thing that you really do need to know about this game is that it's actually a pretty small racing game. Like there are only 4 tracks within the entire game. So that may explain why you have to play the same track twice each time, but still, that's not a whole lot though. Like hell, even F-Zero on the Super Nintendo had more than that, and that was on a Super Nintendo, and this was on a next-gen console at that time, so really, what the fuck? And you would think this game would be 4 players, considering that was a big thing when the N64 was out, and yet this game only has 2 players, which is okay, but you would suspect it to have more. Also, it'd be a better party game if it had 4 players. Now, if you want to buy this game, it costs around like $10 to $15 around, so it's very cheap and it's not hard to find, so it's rather common. Now, if I had to rate this game, I'd probably have to give it a 5 out of 10. It's nothing special, and it's not amazing, but it's not really horrible either. Now, as I said before that this game is very similar to games like Wipeout and all that, I really find it to be really shitty in comparison. Now, of course, this game is not shitty at all, but isn't the comparison to other games like that. It's really nothing all that much. But of course, the best thing about this game would probably have to be the music, so at least give it a listen. And also same with the model designs, those were actually really nice too. So overall, it's kind of a mediocre racing game. And probably the most memorable part about this game would probably have to be the badass intro. At least, I think so anyway. But anyways, this is a short episode, and it's super short compared to the last one I made, which was 30 minutes. But anyways, I hope you enjoyed this review while it lasted. Thanks for watching and commenting.